When I was a kid growing up, I was told the American dream was to own a home.
Throughout the United States, home prices have gone up exponentially, and it's becoming more and more unaffordable for most Americans.
So what is it we could do to help solve the problem of affordable housing? Is there already some solutions in the works?
Today we're going to be going over 5 ways that I believe that we could help solve the affordability. And you tell me what your best solution is for the affordability crisis.
After World War II, there was a big housing boom.
There were low-cost home loans for veterans and low-interest loans to help them buy a farm or start a business. And many did just that.
Right now, of course, there's tons of low-interest loans. Alongside with that, developers realized that they were going to be doing this, and they made it very simple for people to buy large pieces of land, subdivide those, and add affordable housing, and they'd build them one right after another.
Home builders anticipated the needs of newlyweds and young families. They built new suburbs that appealed to countless first-time home buyers, then standardized production and built thousands of factory-style homes. $90 down and $58 a month could buy a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house with modern amenities.
One of the things the government did was they worked with builders to build these houses in large subdivisions. There wasn't a lot of red tape when it came to these kinds of things. If a developer wanted to buy a piece of land and subdivide it, it wasn't even that big of a deal. Today, there is so much red tape when it comes to land developers wanting to make subdivisions. Places like California can take 2 to 3 years just for them to get the planning and zoning in order for them to even put in the lots themselves. If we allowed land developers to go ahead and turn in their plans and not have to go through 2 to 3 years of bureaucracy, maybe we could get a lot more houses built, which would, of course, allow for the prices of homes to come down somewhat, because right now they're ridiculous. The other thing that we can learn about what happened in World War II is the way that they designed these houses. It was just a simple house, but they gave incentives to the builders to build these affordable tiny homes. They don't do that anymore. What if the government worked with home builders and then the home builders got building materials for a less expensive price because it was bought through the government? Then maybe we could have more affordable housing options. But that's not the only thing. There's other ways that we can do this.
One thing that's been in the top of my mind since all of this has gone on with the affordable housing crisis is that since the pandemic, we've had a record amount of office spaces that are currently closing. If the cities would get together and work with the rezoning of many of these areas, that could really solve a lot of the affordable housing crisis throughout the United States. There's just so many buildings and everybody's working from home now. Another fantastic place to think about when it comes to alternative housing and affordable housing is abandoned shopping malls.
Before you even poo-poo on the idea of turning a mall into living spaces, it's already been done before in Providence, Rhode Island, and they've had ultimate success.
Welcome to Microloft Living. Real estate developer Evan Granoff owns the mall. He converted the top 2 floors to apartments back in 2013.
A lot of the trends that started to happen at that time, where the retail was dying, had already been really taking place in here for a while.
Granoff says he's proud a creative business model was able to save a national landmark.
More and more shopping malls throughout the United States are closing, and what are they going to do with this space? It wouldn't be that hard to rezone, and look, there's plenty of parking.
That has been in place since 2013, and it's a model that we could use for affordable housing options. Not only that, they even have businesses in the lower level, so that could help a lot of small businesses start to get their foot on the ground with a captive audience living right above them. It's a win-win for everybody. I do want to mention there was one affordable housing option that was brought to my attention that turned out to not be so affordable. It was called a barndominium, and I was pretty excited about it because they look so interesting on the outside, and I've seen several throughout Louisiana. I actually even talked to a home lender, and he said yes, that you can get a regular conventional loan to buy a barndominium. But the thing is, it's not very affordable. The minimum cost I could find for one was about $110 per square foot. And if you ever seen how big those things are, they could get pretty pricey pretty fast. Not only that, there's all sorts of things that have to do with the foundation, and it can get pretty expensive. So a barndominium is not an affordable housing option. I'm sorry to say, as cool as they look, it's just not in the cards for everybody. Another affordable housing option I talk about quite often is manufactured homes. And when you think about manufactured homes, they've come a long way since when they first started.
Fabricated is the word for such houses. Every day in testing laboratories throughout the country, men and women are working to develop new ways to build better and cheaper living units. with shatterproof glass bricks, chemically treated synthetic fibers, laminated plastics, reinforced plywoods, roofing materials and curtain wall boards, which will be lightweight but winterproof and strong as metal.
In the early years when they did make those manufactured homes, they didn't actually have any kind of building codes. Since then, HUD does have some specifications that they have to meet in order for them to be considered a manufactured home. Yes, they still come with a license plate and a tag, but you can get them financed with VA, FHA, and even conventional loans if they're attached to land. That's the only case. If not, you're going to have to get something called a chattel loan. And the chattel loan would be just for the structure itself, and then you would have to pay an additional rent for your space lot that you'll be renting for your manufactured home. With that being said, if you are in a manufactured home park and they're looking to sell the park, you may want to get with your neighbors and see if you can form a co-op. That way the residents of your park can form a cooperation just like they would with a condo association, and you could keep your lot rents at a level that is affordable for everyone, and they would only go up a little bit instead of a lot, like I've heard so many people talk about, that the lot rents become so unaffordable that people end up having to walk away from their homes. So that is something to consider. There are some companies that I know of that I've talked about before, and I'll go ahead and put the tag for that video right here. Now, if you are considering a manufactured home that isn't a resale manufactured home, try to consider how much it is going to cost you per square foot. I know that several homes you see can be as little as, $50, $60, $70 per square foot, which sounds really great. And then when you roll in the price of the land, it ends up being almost the same amount as it would have been just to have a traditional house built. Now, if you are considering buying a brand new manufactured home and you plan on rolling it into the land that you're purchasing, definitely price everything out, including your water and your electricity that's going out to the house. So that way you know exactly how much it's going to cost you on your payment. Your loan advisor will tell you exactly how much that would cost. Another affordable housing option you may want to look into is modular homes. I've even worked with some companies and I've talked about their products, and they have like tiny homes that are considered modular homes. And what makes a modular home different than a manufactured home? Well, it's the building codes themselves. Modular homes are built to a higher grade than a manufactured homes, and sometimes they're actually even built to a higher grade than traditional stick-built homes. So you may want to look into that option as well. They can range in all sorts of different prices, as high as like $300 per square foot, depending on what you get, but they can go down considerably. You just have to do a little investigating, and they can make some that are really super tiny, cute little houses. And if you have the piece of land and you're thinking about going modular, definitely do your homework. More and more people are looking for more affordable options when it comes to something different, alternative, something you wouldn't normally see. You've got yurts, you've got manufactured homes, you've got modular homes, you've got earth ships, and you've got container homes. People love container homes because it's one consecutive box. But I have to tell you one thing. If you're considering buying a container home and you plan on putting on a piece of property, always, always, always make sure that the area that you live in is going to allow you to place the container home there. The problem that a lot of people are finding is that they buy them, they put them on the piece of property, and then the county officials come by about 2 months later after you've started your project, and they're like, you can't build this here. And they have a lot of red tape to go through to get the right kinds of permits to be able to keep their container home on the piece of property. So before you start any project that you're going to do where you're going to fix up a container or something that is alternative, make sure that it fits in with the county regulations, because you can get yourself in a heap load of trouble and have to spend a lot more money than you intended. I love container homes. I think they're a great idea, but also know that the containers themselves that the original people built them for specifically say that it's not meant for long-term living. So is the American dream dead? I sure as heck hope not. I just find that it is absolutely atrocious is the fact that we cannot find affordable housing for the average American. According to the most recent census that just came out, the average American family of four makes about $80,000 a year. And if you look at this mortgage calculator right here, if you go through it, they're saying about a 30-year loan, I could afford a $224,000 house. Well, the problem is, if you look on the internet or on any kind of newspaper that are selling homes, there isn't much out there for $224,000. And I don't know about you, That's a problem. That's a housing crisis. If you'd like to know more about some affordable housing options that I've reviewed before, go ahead and click this video right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.